highest seed in the playoffs will get the choice of side on games 1, 3, and 5. So whoever wins this match is very, very likely to lock in that 4th position because of tomorrow's games. Of course, it can shuffle if both teams go 1-1. So we'll have to see how this matchup plays out. It's the Unicorns that own the head-to-head, 1-0. So for Gambit, in the case of a tiebreaker scenario, they would want this win to make it more likely to get 4th or force that tiebreaker game.
Yes, indeed, they will. Added benefit for them here. Cassiopeia taken off the table for PowerOfEvil. Diana is also banned. Has been making a bit of a resurgence lately. We'll see what Gambit taken as next. It's going to be Kog'Maw.
So Lulu's still available, as is Rek'Sai, Nidalee. With the Sejuani gone, you have to feel those are the jungle champions that Kikis or Diamond will be looking at. Might see another one of those Gragas's, Gragasai. Grungles, let's go that one.
There we go.
Which did very well in Challenger Series last night, did very well earlier today. And I also want to see whether or not Pinoy is going to get his hands on Kalista if he wants to play that again. It worked for Freeze earlier today, it's worked for Pinoy in the past.
Well, Hecarim is the one that they are going to ban on Gambit's side last. This is going to prompt a Nidalee hover here. We'll see if Kikis does want that one. It looks like he does. It's a takeaway from Diamond, too.
Not really surprising. With Sejuani off the table and not playing Gragas necessarily, Kikis was the first person to play Jungle Nidalee in the LCS several weeks ago and had a fantastic performance on it and is continuing to do well. When you look at Chachi's summoner spells, he had Teleport Ignite, so knowing that Hecarim was banned, that's actually quite smart from Gambit. They've done the research, they know what to take away from Vizicsacsi, and wisely so. So Chachi will have to adapt. Most likely going to take a Maokai if it's not locked in right now by Cabochard.
It does. And they also take the Jinx, so very quickly picking up on the AD carry, the hyper carry, with Kog'Maw banned by themselves. They're putting Pinoy on another champion that can do some serious tower damage.
Hello.
Oh, and we got Cho'Gath.
So this is most likely going to be a Cho'Gath mid. It's something that I know the pro players have been spamming a lot of in solo queue. We've actually seen it from the LPL as well. You go back again, you roll the years back. Cho'Gath used to be a meta pick in 2000 and Season 2, but that is a very, very long time ago. The one thing I do want to see, I'm not believing the Poppy, don't get excited.
It's just a little thing for Vizicsacsi there.
Well, let's finish on the Cho'Gath really quickly. Long range ability, a 2-second silence from that Feral Scream, as well as an AP spell that scales on true damage. Any mega tank has to have a lot of HP to get away from that very high damage deal feast. So we'll see what Cabochard can do with himself as the game continues to scale. But this is the first Cho'Gath that we're seeing in Europe.
Crowd is very disappointed that it's not an Urgot, but it will be a Vi for Diamond, and we see the Thresh locked in as well. What do Unicorns answer with here? Yes, we are getting to see the Cho'Gath, as you mentioned. So already even more diversity in this week number 9.
And the Vi is an interesting one, because Vi is a champion that has not been played by Europe. You know, we're seeing so many other junglers. North America has been playing an excessive amount of Vi over the last few weeks. And I've spoken to Leviathan a couple of times, and he's touched on the different tiers of jungle champions. And he has raised that, you know, Vi as a jungler is underrated by the European region. So we'll see what Diamond can do. Lots of engage, lots of power to lock down, especially against a Nidalee, against a Cho'Gath, so you can get past Nidalee's mobility as well as Cho'Gath's silence and knockup. So I think it's a smart pick, and it'll also play into Diamond's playstyle. He has been one of the primary engagers for Gambit, and will make those double dive buddies with Maokai super effective.
We've got a Graves for Vardags, and also there is a Fizz locked in for the Unicorns of Love. Should go over to Vizicsacsi. So yeah, back to the Vi though. Diamond has had the one game on it. They did win this one, but I agree, it is definitely an underutilized pick here in Europe. And I want to see what they can make use of it with, because there are so many squishy targets they can blow up if they get the Assault and Battery. And yes, Spart is enabled.
From the Troll King himself, Eddie always trolls. Betsy, the question is, what does he want to play into Cho'Gath? Does he want to play Ahri? Does he want to play Ezreal? Does he want to play something safe? Or, you know, how confident is he feeling? Last week, when Gambit took down Elements, they had Jinx, Thresh, Ezreal as their primary combat. I'm thinking that's when they're going to go towards. With the very strong front line of Vi plus Maokai, they had the option to go double AD, have decided against it, Gonna go for the damage deal from Ahri and mobility instead. And for Gambit, it's a very standard composition. You've got Ahri that wants to flank, via Maokai lock somebody down, allow Jinx to get that super mega death rocket off. For PowerOfEvil on this Cho'Gath, he has to land his ruptures. He has to silence Betsy the moment Betsy jumps in with Feral Scream and hope that Chachi and Kikis can blow him up. Because if he doesn't, there is so much dancing and diving from Gambit, they can get around that zoning power of Cho'Gath.
Yeah, it's very difficult to really, I feel, play Cho'Gath correctly, because if you don't land those ruptures, if you don't land your skill shots, yes, you do a ton of damage and you have fantastic AP ratios. However, you don't land them, it's all for naught. And yes, it becomes a variable tank later on in the game, so this is nice and flexible for them.
Yeah.
But it's still risky. Oh, there's some love. Giving Sheepy a ride.
Hang on a second. Since when does the unicorn mount a steed to leave the battlefield? Leviathan should have got on Sheepy's back there.
Yeah.
For that to be thematically correct. But the
Fair
one thing I want to see, I'm interested to find out how the itemization is going to play out, because you highlighted the fact Cho'Gath does get tanky. His feast stacks give him a lot of HP. But there's no other tanks for the rest of the team.
Oh, yeah. Now, the crowd's pumped up as we're loading onto the Rift. Why don't you guys at home go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports. Let us know who you think has the edge in this playoff preview. The hashtags UOL win or GMB win. Get on that Twitter. But for now, the game is starting off. Battlecast Cho'Gath in the mid lane.
Oh, I hope he drops the beats. I'm so looking forward to that.
Built stereo system.
He does. It's good speakers. But this is, of course, the question. I remember, I'm trying to remember who tweeted it. Oh, it was Defisho again, actually. He was complaining about the potential of a Cho'Gath mid because of the proficiency of jungle tanks and how many jungles we're seeing top lane. It would have given us these massive, massive drawn-out team fights where you could just out-sustain your opponents by having this beefy, beefy team comp. PowerOfEvil, for the moment, 37 AP, not really got a lot of tank stats and already skilled that Feral Scream, so we need to see how he handles himself in lane.
Yeah, and all of the Cho'Gaths we have been seeing in high elo games, they really like to max that Feral Scream early on, whether it's jungle, whether it's mid. We'll see what PowerOfEvil does, but he's well on his way to that one. And this game looks like Unicorns are looking for an invade here, but there was nobody hanging out in that brush. They're going to be revealed, but they get a couple of deep wards down to their own, so Gambit won't be able to do much about it.
Yeah, and no reaction from Gambit either, despite the fact they spotted 4 members of UOL. Pinoy had already started backing. Maybe predicting this lane swap, in fact. Because you can see Eddie and Pinoy both moving towards this top lane. So we're going to have top laners chilling out in the bottom half of the map. At least that's my assumption for the time being.
Looks like that's the case.
And we'll see how Unicorns can handle themselves. It's interesting because there's so much more damage on the side of Unicorns, but there's so much higher level of tankiness on Gambit's side of the map. So this could become one of these games where the team that gets ahead can use either their survivability to deal with whatever burst Unicorns is putting out, or alternatively, Unicorns can burst through Gambit. So the laning phase is going to be very, very crucial to how the mid game is going to get played out. The only thing that Gambit has in a much better scenario than UOL is initiation power. Vi cannot get interrupted at all, whoever she sets her sights on, and Hylissang is going to be tied to hitting level 6 and obviously having that flash available.
It's going to be very dependent on that if Unicorns can set up the right fights. Kikis is going to get a little bit of his counter jungle on. Leaps over to the red.
And if anybody watched the previous game, Kikis is doing what Frederick should have done. Kikis is invading on the side of the jungle where he does have the ability to get support from his AD carry. There's not a lane swap in this scenario, so it's still a little risky, but it is much less risky than the previous matchup where Giants gave up first blood and the buff to elements. So smart play from Kikis.
And he gets out scot-free too. Diamond came in time to just see it being taken. Be able to clear away the Scuttle Crab by the Baron Pit as well. And right back to it. Edward was on a little bit of a roam, but he decided to go back to lane.
Well, I want to have a look at this middle lane. See how PowerOfEvil's farming up on this Cho'Gath. Got himself a decent amount of CS. And of course, doing some battle.
Nice little follow. Still, this is going to be a little bit of a slap for a while. Yeah, back in that mid lane, you do see PowerOfEvil. He's got himself more of that farm. He's got a decent edge on Betsy right now. who hasn't really had much of an opening to really do any serious damage to him.
No, not a massive amount. But the one thing that is quite nice about PowerOfEvil's Cho'Gath is the fact that he's got quite a bit of sustain whenever he does kill monsters or minions, thanks to that Carnivore passive. And I would like to see how long PowerOfEvil sticks around as well as his itemization. Anybody that's played AP Cho'Gath when DFG RIP was still in the game is just so much fun. Rupture into Feral Scream, a little bit of a feast to nom down. I want to see how he handles himself, but Betsy not being caught out by the fairly predictable skill shots. Look bottom
Just yet anyways, yep. Kikis is going down bottom. Cabochard could be in a world of hurt. Let's see if he is. Dodges out the spear. Playful Trickster on. That's going to be a flash burn, but we could very well see first blood, and it looks like it will go over to Vizicsacsi.
Yeah, very smart play. And looking at the way the jungle picks worked out, first pick Nidalee, resulting in first blood. There's also been a bust steal. Kikis on a very comfy champion. Oh, Eddie's been stunned.
Yeah, he does get away though. Threw his lantern down for a little bit of a shield. Pinoy was able to cover fire for him. Yeah,
the one thing I also think you have to highlight is just how important Fizz's W, that Seastone's Trident, will become. Because of the fact that Cabochard and Diamond will most likely build very tanky, very beefy. Every single time Chachi jumps into melee range and gets those auto attacks off, it's dealing percentage HP damage. So Fizz is one of the better tank busters in the meta at the moment, as long as you can get him to a point where he can duel, where he can stand and fight and stick around for long enough. So a lot of pressure on Chachi to deal with these tanks as the game will scale and move into the mid game for team fights.
We'll see if he's able to do it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, you can see Diamond making his way into the river, steps off the Nidalee trap. You can see he's gone for the skirmishers again. That's been one of his favorites, and it makes a lot of sense on Vi.
I'm trying to remember what Kobe said on PTL, the infatuation with Skirmisher's Saber from Europe. Could argue ahead of the curve or not. Kikis actually gets jumped on by Diamond.
Oh yeah, Diamond's able to return some serious damage, and Kikis just hasn't done that much. He's got the red buff though, so Diamond's going to back off of this one.
And that is a very good example of why Skirmisher's Saber works out.
Yep.
Diamond jumps in, Vault Breaker, and gets those denting blows. So wins the trade, but it doesn't result in anything. There was no gank available. Diamond's still playing to get to level 6, and Eddie again eats a stun from Hylissang.
But at the same time, they couldn't pass any further forward without running straight into a zap. Pinoy has been protecting his carry quite well this game.
Oh, Hylissang.
However, there's the flash. There is the stun. Eddie flashes out, but he can't escape the buckshot. And Vardags takes him down. Pinoy now on the retreat.
Straight up outplayed. Gambit got themselves into this 2v2. They actually spotted all of the unicorns in their jungle and took a Gambit as to where they're going to put their duo lane. And unfortunately, they've fallen behind over and over. Because Hylissang, every single time we look top, Hylissang is zoning Edward, zoning Pinoy. It's not resulted in CS yet, but the fact that First Blood landed on Vardags, he's got enough for a BF sword, it's going to give them even more burst potential before Hylissang's even hit 6.
It's true. It's going to give him a really, really nice boost in his gold as well. So we'll see what he does with that. Should be the BF sword. Does he have enough gold for it?
Most certainly.
Yes, indeed. And he also gets the boots. Take a look at that fan vote. 74% of you guys saying that Unicorns of Love are gonna come out on top. Wow.
It's fantastic. The fans at home really getting behind the Unicorns of Love. And, you know, we looked at those graphs at the beginning of the game. Unicorns have been a steady top 4, top 5 team through the entirety of the split.
Despite the inconsistency.
Yes, they've dropped games here or there, but as you said, you know, last week, they won 75% of the games of teams above them and lost 25% below them. So, oh, look at those Cabochard and Chachi. They're going back and forth.
Yep, up comes the Earth. Let's see if Vizicsacsi can finish off Cabochard. However, now that the ult's down.
It's tough to get excited for these really drawn-out fights. Hit him! Hit him with a stick!
Up! And he goes down.
I guess Cabochard just had to take a leaf out of that lane.
He didn't make like a tree and leave fast enough.
Took a really long time.
Yes, it did. In the end, though, Fizz still tank busted.
I don't know if busted is the right word. He killed the tank.
Okay, all right, you got me there.
But yes, either way, 2-0.
He wore him down.
He wore him down. I prefer that. I think that's better suited. Got to try to remember what Free said in the interview earlier. It's when you're playing against a Maokai, you're not fed. It's like trying to cut a tree down with your palm. Chachi's got
Very
palms
slowly.
of steel. Palms of steel. But the scary thing with this, 2-0, the closer Vizicsacsi is to getting his Trinity Force and then beginning to roam with Kikis with PowerOfEvil, there's a lot of mobility and again, like we said, a lot of damage. Cabochard working his way towards this righteous glory, looking for more engage, and Chachi and PowerOfEvil, they're just diving in.
Yep, PowerOfEvil, he got the Rupture, but it's still very, very hard to take down the tree. Throws on the Vengeful Maelstrom. Chachi's a little bit low to try and get involved in this one. Meanwhile, in the back of it, everything's going a little bit crazy as Diamond picks up Hylissang. There's a Twisted Advance onto Chachi. Can he maybe pick one up? Oh, the Feast! Whoa. But he won't get the kill, and in comes Betsy for cleanup duty. It looks like he can get himself a double kill. Kikis is going to be able to get away.
Here
but the
comes
Unicorn
Diamond.
stayed oh so long. Diamond coming in. Not enough damage to get it. And Leviathan is just freaking out.
Yeah, he's not happy with that one at all. He is happy with that one. Sheepy with the unfortunate dive from the Unicorns of Love, trying their best to make that dive happen. And Cabochard survived for so long that it allowed both Betsy and Diamond to get into place. So they ended up trading a couple of kills here or there, but very importantly for Gambit, they secure the tower. For a team that was falling behind in Global Gold and that had given up kills, they do manage to pick themselves up. So this was Hylissang trying to just zone Diamond away and actually preventing Hylissang.
And the rocket.
Wow, didn't even realize it happened. Trying to prevent Diamond from getting involved in the dive, because had Diamond been able to jump onto Kikis, knock away PoE, knock away Vizicsacsi, that could have been an even cleaner fight for Gambit. So they do end up trading back and forth, and despite the fact Diamond blew his flash for that one, unable to get more. But again, power play, Gambit punish UOL for the over-aggressive dive.
They do indeed. Now Unicorns thinking about pushing on this bottom, but it's just Hylissang taking a few pot shots at it, and in comes Cabochard for the defense. Now that they've secured themselves the top turret, Gambit can go down bot and wait for the next dragon to come up, but they've got a little bit of time on their hands before that happens.
Yeah, you can actually see Unicorns are dictating the lane scenarios at the moment. A few minutes ago, Vardags and Hylissang, recalled, picked up the BF, went bottom lane. And Pinoy and Edward not looking for that 2v2, despite the fact the tower is down, they've still stuck the AD carry support up top. So Gambit need to rectify the head-to-head matches. If Cabochard is left alone in this bottom lane, Vardags and Hylissang should be able to push the wave in if they want to. For the time being, though, Hylissang is roaming. Unicorns playing a very, very aggressive red buff control. They've stolen 2 away from Gambit already.
Yeah, Diamond has still been able to make some plays, but that's definitely got to be frustrating. He's gone for the Warrior, of course. A little bit of extra damage, it never hurt. Now he's going to be joining Cabochard in the bottom side. Vardags has already backed away from this one, though. Edward's going to run face first into a spear and a trap. Turn right around after that. 2 minutes till the next dragon's up.
So Gambit got the first one uncontested. Just being in the right place earlier than their opponents. But the main thing to note here, Gambit are not responding to the invades. Edward is alone, and he's been stunned by Hylissang. But
burns his flash.
The problem here is Gambit have completely lost control of the top half of the map. There are some sweepers, but they're not moving into clear that vision quickly enough. And Diamond, they're going to set up another dive. Here comes a rocket from mid lane too.
Oh, yes it does, but it goes a little wide. Vardags is still going to go down Assault and Battery to finish him off. In comes Vizicsacsi. Diamond, he's got the Chum the Waters on, and he gets taken down. Vizicsacsi now, though, in a dangerous situation with Betsy coming in and picking him up.
So despite the fact Unicorns are sticking to their lanes well, Gambit is moving between them when engages are happening. Pinoy, he's found Hylissang.
Yes, he has. Let's see if they have enough damage to polish him off. Another teleport coming in. The Feral Scream was not really going to deter him from much, and Pinoy gets excited after picking up Hylissang. Exhaust is down, gets the zap out, Twisted Advance on. PowerOfEvil trying to salvage something, but he's going to fall. It's Cabochard picking up that kill. That was a getaway.
Great flash play from Edward to keep both PowerOfEvil and Hylissang in place. After Gambit get the towers, but after they get the tower dive, the tower on the bottom lane, Gambit is able to teleport up and support Pinoy and Edward in the middle lane to get even more damage on the map. Despite the strong start from Unicorns, they are falling behind the aggressive plays from Gambit.
So Gambit have managed to get themselves a nice little gold lead in this with that series of plays. And by turning the pressure up, Unicorns have found themselves on the receiving end. It's quite a lot of damage. 15 seconds till this next dragon is up. Gambit looking to get in position. Diamond already there on the scene, clearing the Scuttle Crab out.
Yeah, we need to see how Unicorns plan to deal with Gambit. If Vizicsacsi wants to play split push, he can deal with Cabochard at the moment, especially with that Trinity Force. The risk is he can get dropped so quickly the moment Diamond or Betsy go to help him out. So for Unicorns of Love, their strategy has been to try to control Diamond, try to control his jungle, and while that's worked out, Kikis has got a 20 CS advantage, has stolen multiple buffs. It's not prevented Gambit getting 7 kills on the board. 3 of them, Diamond's been involved in directly, and he's actually secured 2 of his own. So for Unicorns to adjust, I feel like they're going to be relying on Chachi with this Trinity Force for the next few minutes to buy time, seeing as neither team has those teleports. And look at that, Cabochard doesn't even pick the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit odd here. Now we see Gambit setting up for this dragon. They're all in position for it, and there is no teleport, however, for either top laner. We'll see if Unicorns want to try to contest this one. Cho'Gath's coming around the side. Diamond has already come on in here. I think it's going to nearly get stolen away. Kikis tried for it, but it's smited at the end of the day by Diamondprox, who picks up number 2 for Gambit Gaming.
That was a really great smite. Kikis was throwing the javelin. We saw the collateral damage coming up from Vardags. Kikis even hopped over the wall to try to smite that one out. So very well played by Diamond. He did actually secure that one. So well played. Dragon number 2 at 15 minutes, not the earliest. But Gambit going to their roots, maintaining dragon control. And you know, the longer this game goes, the happier they're going to be. Eventually, Diamond's going to be able to set his sights on PowerOfEvil, on Vardags, and shut them down. We're hitting 15 minutes, and that's a fairly late Rod of Ages from PowerOfEvil. Additionally, you like to see that a little bit earlier.
Push a lot of damage onto that bottom turret, but they do have to back off. Let's see where Kikis decides to go here. He puts down a ward. Gonna try to just scare off Gambit, and it looks like it's worked. They should be able to secure this outer turret. But yeah, so far the mid Cho'Gath hasn't really done a whole ton for PowerOfEvil. He's 0-2 right now, has a later Rod of Ages, as you mentioned, with the double Dorans that had already come in. And Betsy's really never been in any serious danger. Most of the threat from PowerOfEvil has been on the roam, and he's also bitten the dust a few times. That's
definitely the case. And you know, it's interesting when you actually look at this. PowerOfEvil, a guy who has played Syndra, who can play LeBlanc, and had the option of Ahri. They second picked this Cho'Gath. Now, for Unicorns and Gambit, they've both, ooh, it's a big spear. They've both locked in their playoff spots. So the Cho'Gath pick could be just for some practice on the stage with it. Throw out that psychological battle ahead of a quarterfinal matchup against your most likely team. Edward, he's called Kikis.
Oh yes, he's going in. Pinoy's gonna launch the rocket. It comes in. Look at that damage as they take down Kikis. Vizicsacsi teleports in, looks for Cabochard, might be able to find him. He gets blown up, chomped down by PowerOfEvil, but now PowerOfEvil's caught as the tower goes down. Hylissang, Diamond turns his attention to Power. Eddie's gonna get the kill credit for that one, but a massive Tibbers is gonna slow up Gambit for just a moment, and now they're right back to it. Vardags going down. Pinoy on a spree.
Oh, facepalm indeed from the Unicorns of Love. They got caught out. They trade 3 for 2, but lose the tower as well. So Gambit come out very far ahead in that particular engage, and I just love the initiation. Gambit do not hesitate after Eddie lands what was actually a blind hook. Yes, the ward was just killed, so he had the information to work with. Diamond even hopping over the wall with that assault and battery, but look how quickly Cabochard got melted. As long as Chachi can continue fighting, then Unicorns can do well. But because Chachi was forced so low so early, was unable to really clean up more, despite getting that last little hit. And Vardags with a very aggressive flash in. What was he trying to do? I think he went the wrong direction there. That
I think so.
Looked a bit odd.
He offered himself as tribute. Back to this one. So Gambit, you know, they traded a little bit better in that. They've got a tower advantage. It's a slight one, but they still have it in their favor. However, the Unicorns have definitely been grabbing some kills back for themselves. So they're definitely not out of this one just yet. Gold lead favors Gambit, but only by 1,500.
Yeah, it's not a massive amount because of the fact that Gambit have been unable to defend their towers, but they have maintained perfect dragon control. Only 2 of the game thus far. And I'm still, you know, just going back to that point, playing the Cho'Gath, maybe just showing it off a little bit, making your opponents think, is it a possibility? Is it something we should even consider in a best-of-5 scenario? If you look across the map, yes, he is 15 CS down, Got a kill, got an assist. He's going to scale very well. Got all that free HP, so how do PowerOfEvil and the rest of the Unicorns plan to use it?
That will indeed be the question. The time being, Unicorns, they've controlled this side of the river, but it's still about 2 minutes before the Dragon is going to be coming up and available. Gambit have gotten the first two, although that second one was very, very close. Unicorns are not keen on giving another one over.
Yeah, and look again, Vizicsacsi off in the side lane alone. The rest of the Unicorns grouped up middle. They're going to be using the teleport threat, but they're at a teleport disadvantage. Here comes a tree from behind.
Yep, he uses it. They're going to jump onto PowerOfEvil. A hook is going to fly in his general direction, and oh, so much damage onto him. Cabochard grabs that pick. PowerOfEvil back down on the stacks, but Vizicsacsi continues to push up in this top side. There's quite a lot of Gambit members in the middle, but they've not got mini waves just yet.
Well, disappointed fan indeed. The best that Unicorns can hope for will be a tower trade. Vizicacsi's made it to the top inner turret, while the rest of Gambit had made it to the middle inner turret. The thing that I like about Gambit's play, they knew they had the teleport advantage, and they used it instantly, considering how the previous fights had gone.
Yeah, Vizicsacsi might be able to polish this one down, but he's going to start tanking a lot of turrets. Oh, he Playful Trickster's right back in as the next minion wave comes up. So they do get the trade, an inner for an inner. And they don't lose anyone, so you got to say Unicorns, one of the better things that could have happened to them in that situation.
Yeah, and it is something that is beneficial, but it's also the champion pick, because there's nobody from Gambit that can really deal with him 100% yet, despite the fact that Cabochard's Maokai is getting beefier and tankier. It'll be a while before he's going to be able to sort of shrug off Vizicsacsi in that 1v1. And what looks to be another red buff steal. Unicorns evened up the gold difference with that tower trade. And I'm not sold on this Cho'Gath. I don't see what Cho'Gath offered the Unicorns that a LeBlanc and Ahri. Also, as a quick note, Cabochard has got that little ring from Vengeful Maelstrom. It's actually not on. It is just a visual spectator bug from our spectator client only. So don't worry about that red ring. You'll see his ulti turned on in just a moment because it looks like we have a fight coming.
Looks like we do. There's a teleport in, so Vizicsacsi shows force. And Gambit are going to be backing off for the time being.
The only risk in picking those fights in the river is obviously all the AoE. From Chum the Waters, from the Rupture, from the Feral Scream, Gambit don't want to run into it. And because they lose position, Gambit are the ones that are caught napping. They give up a mid-turret. They were pushed deeper into the bottom half of the map. And Unicorns, with complete vision control of the Dragon Pit and River, can just peel backwards and bait Gambit to come to them. Force Gambit to mostly blindly check into Hylissang, into PowerOfEvil, or even into Vizicsacsi. This could get risky. Gambit look like they want to pick the fights.
But there's a lot of damage here on this Dragon. It looks like they've just managed to juke it out, but now can they get away? Gambit, they're not offering any battle right here. They're going to wait in the brush instead. No. Spear's going to come in and connect on Betsy. Here we go. The chase is on as Cabochard moves in, Twisted Advance after he pops the Righteous Glory. Betsy, a lot of damage there. The Rocket's coming in on PowerOfEvil. Cabochard is going to be the one to pick that up, but Betsy trying to get away. However, he's shut down finally at the end. The tick of Ignite was the thing that did it, and now Cabochard picking up a double kill, but Eddie's caught. It's a shutdown as Vardags picks up Pinoy. Edward, he is going to go down. They didn't even need the spear. And a 3-for-2 trade this time for the Unicorns.
Gambit unable to find the right targets. Cabochard, while he did initiate onto PowerOfEvil, the rest of the damage dealers of the Unicorns Alive split up. They were not really a threat. And thanks to the fact that PowerOfEvil has a ton of HP to burn through from all of those feast stacks, he just took such a long time to go down. Notice Vizicsacsi still sits in the river, and then he engages the moment you see Diamond, Pinoy, Edward in the pit. So Chachi's trying to zone away. Yes, Gambit were decisive, but they need to deal with more than just PowerOfEvil. PowerOfEvil has got a spell reel. He can get off 2 spells in a feast in that short space of time. Focus Kikis, focus Vardags, who can offer more, and then go for PowerOfEvil. They need to prioritize the other damage dealers before the Cho.
I agree with you on that one. Gambit, you know, they had a chance to really take that fight quickly and handily, but I think they focused too much on what was right in front of them. It got a little bit greedy, and they paid the price for it big time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Rupture, 9-second cooldown. Feral Scream, 13-second cooldown. PowerOfEvil doesn't have a champion that's going to get a multi-spell reel, multiple spells in the course of one team fight.
It's not as hard to dodge them either.
Yeah.
Don't get in range for Feast, move out of the way for Feral Scream and the Rupture, and you're fine. So In this case, they've been ignoring Vizicsacsi. They've allowed him to get very well on a roll as Rocket comes in.
Checking back. It's just scouting rockets.
Yes, as it launches itself into the stratosphere.
So successful, because it scouted and found out nothing was going on. The thing that I'd like to see from Betsy more often is trying to find that flank. Some better warding from Gambit to allow Betsy and maybe even Diamond to come in from the side, shut down Vardags early, and then allow Gambit to focus down Vizicsacsi or Kikis. Because they are the threats. The 2-5-2 Cho is not fantastic. I mean, boots of swiftness. PowerOfEvil doesn't
at least.
He doesn't like being slowed.
No, not at all.
I'd love to see a Wit's End. Go really old school. Just get those Vorpal spikes spam over.
Last time I've seen a Wit's End built professional.
Honestly, I don't know. But the last time I saw Wit's End on Cho'Gath was Season 2.
Ah.
Because that's totally relevant right now.
Of course.
Definitely.
As a Cho'Gath in the game, anything is possible for QuickShot. And anything is always possible for these unicorns. We'll see what they can do next. The gold is actually swung in their favor by just a little bit. And Vizicsacsi, the man in the bottom, he's really making a lot of that happen. Splitting now on the bot, he's going to force the attention of Cabochard, while the rest of Gambit is at play in the middle. Yeah,
Vizicacsi's just been playing that side lane threat. He's got no teleport available for a little while longer, whereas Cabochard does. So if unicorns overextend like they did 6 minutes ago, then Cabochard's going to TP in from behind and punish with an engage. So for unicorns, it's just play stall, wait until Chachi's got his summon spell available, and then look for the engage. Chachi's going to break the tether.
Yes, he does, but he's going to get hooked in this time as the Chum in the Waters doesn't do much of anything, but now Gambit had to be careful to get out of this. Eddie is a little bit low, but Gambit, they're taking this numbers advantage to its logical end. Betsy picks up Vardags, 2 for none, just like that, and they're looking for quite a lot more if they can find it.
Very, very well played from Gambit. Cabochard TP'd in. What more can they get? Forcing Chachi to go down by just running him down. You did see how the Assaulter Battery can get broken by
the
Playful Trickster,
yeah.
But it simply wasn't enough. Because of the fact that Eddie was in place, he landed the hook the moment Chachi tried to get away. It just allowed Gambit to take down the damage threat, and that meant that Unicorns of Love didn't have cleanup. It's Kikis and Chachi that are the cleanup. Vardags and PoE that want to try to get some burst down, and then allow, you know, the top lane and the jungler to run through and pick up those kill credits.
So Gambit getting themselves a bit more of a favorable position in that. A couple of kills. See what they do next. Hovering around this middle. It's still about a minute till the next dragon's going to be available.
For Gambit, the way that they're going to crack into Unicorn's base has to be either through 5 dragons, through a Baron. A little bit of a bromance going on there.
Hey, they're on TV.
The problem that Gambit has is there's so much wave clear from the Graves and the Cho'Gath. If they try to siege, yes, Jinx with her rockets from Switcheroo can probably get a couple of autos every now and again, but you never want to be at threat of Chum the Waters or Flash anti-engage. So Gambit are not going to play the siege game. Gambit also cannot really deal with Vizicsacsi one-on-one, so they can't really play the split push game either. We're in for a long one because I think the only way that Gambit can really set themselves up is to go for those dragons or barons.
Chum the Waters lands now. Unicorns. They've got some backup there. Kikis throws a heal onto Vizicsacsi. Make sure he's nice and healthy. Skull Crab goes down. 20 seconds till the next dragon. Diamond thinks about going in, but there's a lot of unicorns there. There
is, but it's again very important. You can actually see firsthand how important that challenging smite is. Because Vizicsacsi through Chum the Waters got a bunch of auto attacks, and yes, they traded back and forth a lot, but Diamond did not just get insta-gift by a Blade of the Ruin King Triforce. Of course, he does have a Warmogs to burn through as well, so there's a lot of hit points.
Speaking of burn through, this dragon's starting to go down pretty quickly here. Gambit, they have to move up if they want to challenge for it, but the Timbers is down. Betsy, he's going to have to Spirit Rush away. Vizicsacsi now the target, as he was the man in front. Betsy goes in, but he gets chomped by a Cho'Gath, who throws down the Zanya's Hourglass, and they've caught his attention after the fact, but can they win the fight? PowerOfEvil goes down. Pinoy gets the kill credit for that one, as Cabochard was keeping everyone else's attention. Unicorns of Love are blinking health bars in this, but can they get away? Vardags in the brush trying to stay away from Diamond, but he's not doing a good job. He goes down. Pinoy picks up another. Kikis, the last unicorn standing. He's going to eat a zap, and it looks like it's a matter of time here, QuickShot. They should be able to secure him down. Twisted Advance He's going to buy a few more seconds of life, but down he goes. That's the ace, and Pinoy picks it up.
Exquisite team fight from Gambit, despite the fact that Betsy dashed into a true damage feast to die. Gambit just ran down the targets. They dealt with Vizicsacsi so well, and you noticed Chum the Waters wasn't available. So look at the burst that Betsy took just from that Sea Urchin strike, but it was not enough. Cabochard tanked up 4 members, eventually 3 members of Unicorns of Love, and because Cabochard was keeping them all busy, it allowed the damage dealers from Gambit to focus Unicorns and just win a very, very clean fight. 7-1-7 on Pinoy's Jinx. He's got 1,600 gold to spend. That is a terrifying, terrifying hyper carry that Unicorns have to try zone out, or in their case, Unicorns have to flank.
They do indeed. This time, Gambit, yeah, a few mistakes there, and they managed to grab just about everything, including the Dragon. There was a teleport in for Vizicsacsi that tried to stop it. He's also trying to steal away the Gromp, but he thinks better of it after the fact. Unicorns maybe looking a little bit shaky after that one. Let's see what they managed to do next.
It's interesting though, right? Because Gambit actually, they got the lead early, and then they lost the lead to some, great team fights from Unicorns of Love. Now Gambit have re-secured the lead at 30 minutes, 3,000 gold. But they still have this difficulty. How do they deal with Fizz? How do they siege? And at the moment, there is no answers there. Gambit's warding has not been necessarily super great. They've not been able to find flanks. But we've touched on how important Dragons and Barons are. And when the entirety of Unicorns of Love is in the bottom lane, Gambit will trade Baron. Remember, empowered recalls should get them back quick enough to defend the inhibitor. Unless Kikis decides to go all in and try interrupt.
Oh, Betsy is there. And there is Kikis going down. Meanwhile, back to the bottom side. Vizicsacsi moving in on Cabochard. Diamond was there as well for the defense. Chum the Waters not going to hit where they wanted to. Vardags assault and batteried up, and he's taken down. Cabochard comes in. Pinoy, he's going to flash forward, looking for even more. They turned their attention. They forgot about Hylissang for just a second, but they didn't even need to worry about it. Pinoy, he's got something more important. He has some fish food on the menu. A triple kill comes in for Cabochard. Pinoy still on the hunt. Vizicsacsi, the last Unicorn standing again, and he will make it out. But Gambit have taken another massive fight, and they've got Baron now. Yeah, and you have to think that Unicorns felt Kikis was going to be able to interrupt and stall just a little longer. Betsy was able to put so much damage down, and 4 members of Gambit recalled. So Unicorns were caught unaware. The inhibitor turret dropped to about 50%, 20 seconds left before PowerOfEvil is back up, and all of the wave clear from UOL is in their mid lane and AD carry, who were not available for this fight. Gambit needed the objective, they found it, and now they've got supers in the middle lane. If they want another tower, they can go top as well. Looks like that might be what they're doing. A large wave built up there. A couple of them hesitating, actually, waiting to see if they can get anything more out of this. Clearing away the pink ward over by the blue side. They will back away now, or at least a couple of them will. And he's still looking for something as the Unicorns have mobilized the defense up top.
Cabochard just get a little aggravated there. 8-3-10. He picked up a triple kill in that previous fight.
Pretty good score for a Maokai.
Very, very smart. And this is the problem the Unicorns had from the moment picks and bans were locked in. If Gambit were going to get tanky enough, their bursty damage dealers are either super short range, PowerOfEvil on Cho'Gath, or very reliant on multiple attacks. Kikis needs to get into melee range, which means he needs to be in range of Diamond, of Cabochard, their CC, and that allows Betsy and Pinoy the freedom to move around. You've never really felt that Pinoy and Betsy were at threat unless they were out of position. The few times they've gone down is because they were diving a little too deep.
Yeah, Pinoy has actually been in a really, really good position most of this game, if not just about all of it. Now that he's gotten so far ahead, gotten all of those items in his pocket, he is just wrecking down through these towers. You can see that power of a Jinx siege. Gambit, they're just not letting up on the pressure, and Unicorns are in some serious trouble. They are trying to make something happen up top, but now they've actually sent Kikis back to defend this one. There's the flash, the Tibbers on Betsy, the knockup is going to follow. Inhibitor's very, very low. PowerOfEvil gets the ignite down, but Betsy staying alive in power. He throws the Zhonya's down, but that won't be enough. He gets a feast out. Pinoy, they still take him down. It's Diamond who's going to come up with that kill. Meanwhile, Vardags shuts down Pinoy, but he dies himself. Hylissang charmed up. They're going to take him down. Kikis, a double kill going over to Diamondprox. Kikis is going to fall after this one, and Betsy picks him up. Meanwhile, the top lane, their twisted advance. Vizicsacsi, I don't think he's getting away from this one, and I don't think the Unicorns can hold on much longer here, QuickShot. 3 members of Gambit pushing on the Nexus turrets.
Well, the Maokai and Gambit dug deep enough to deal with that split push Fizz. Cabochard ran Vizicsacsi around in circles, and Gambit looked poised to take fourth.
It looks like that is going to be the case. The Nexus is going to fall. 33.5 in. Gambit Gaming have done it.
Little bit of a shaky mid-game. You know, Gambit, they didn't have an answer to the split push. They didn't have an answer to sieging, but they did know how they win. And it worked out well. For Gambit, as long as they pick up a win tomorrow, they lock in that fourth place. But there is a lot on the line. Choice of sides in quarterfinals.
A lot indeed, but you know, good performance from them at the end there. They utilized the tools they did have. As you mentioned, it was a little bit shaky in the middle, but they brought it back. They dug deep, and they really were able to play that out well towards the end.
Yeah, I just have to, again, you really have to question what was the point of the Cho'Gath? What was it meant to do? That's something that I'd love to know from Unicorns.
I think it was meant to eat champions, but it didn't do it quite enough.
Well, it got Betsy once. We'll give them that. But like I said, it could be a psychological play. In terms of the team comp, there was a lot of pressure on Vizicsacsi split pushing, and it worked for a time, but it didn't pull enough threat. And the problem was, when Vizicsacsi was split pushing bottom lane, the rest of Unicorns pushed up super deep without clearing out vision and got engaged upon by Cabochard. So yes, the play was right from Chachi to push, but the rest of the Unicorns needed to be more defensive and not run the risk of being engaged upon.
Yeah, well, if they did want to test something out, that was the chance for them. They had already locked in that playoff spot. However, this won't necessarily help their seeding too much. You can see Sheepy talking it over with them in the post game. So, you know, we mentioned this is likely a preview, but I feel like every game with Unicorns is going to be very different from the last.
Yes.
So I don't know how much you can even take from that other than it was a bit of a strange series of events.
This was Unicorns being Unicorns, and this was also Gambit being Gambit. To explain, Unicorns very inconsistent in their performances. They really did not have a particularly impressive game, but they also had an interesting pick and ban. So you could discuss the reason they faltered maybe from champion picks. For Gambit, on the other hand, they had a strong early game. The first few minutes was decent. Despite giving up first blood, they found kills, they tower dove, they got themselves an advantage. But then their team composition had inherent weaknesses. The main thing is they knew that. They were playing for Dragon Control, they rushed to Baron, and the moment they got Baron, the game was over before Baron buff ended, so within 3 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, there was a lot of trouble, especially in the early game, and of course in the mid, dealing with Vizicacsi's Fizz. They were able to find a solution to it, and the solution was don't get anywhere near him with your squishies, and just let your tanks tango with him, and you know, at the end of the day, they were able to outscale.
Yeah, exactly. And this does set up tomorrow's games quite interesting. Gambit play SK, and Unicorns of Love play H2K, so those are both very difficult matchups. And if you assume Unicorns maybe beat H2K, who have not been looking great recently, and SK beat Gambit, you've actually then got this tie in terms of the head-to-head, I believe, with Gambit picking up that win. So there could be a battle for seeding in this part of the table, despite the fact the teams are locked into playoffs.
Yeah, we could very well see it. I mean, nothing is 100% certain except for at the very top, and that's just about it. Everything else is still up in the air going in for the last day of week number 9. So I'm really excited to see how the rest of this one goes. But for now, I feel like, yeah, Unicorns, they've always been that team that wants to experiment whether or not it works. They believe in the scientific process. So for Gambit, though, evening out the series, getting themselves in a better playoff position after having such a rough start to the split, you've got to think this is a really, really good feel, even though they struggled at Katowice, they struggled in recent weeks.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you look at the win over Elements last week. I mean, Gambit and Elements formally aligned. That was one of the most anticipated, most watched matchups. Yes, it's different players now on the Gambit roster, but it's still very exciting and a lot of history.
The core feel of Gambit, too. That's what's really important about it.
Exactly. That strong win with this, I would say, intelligent victory because of how Gambit read in-game. They itemized effectively, they picked the fights as the game went on, better and better. I think it actually sets them up very well. What I think it also does is it shows the threat of Vizicsacsi on Fizz. I don't really care about Cho'Gath, but I think Vizicacsi's Fizz has to be a consideration. If you want to run double tank, if you want to run that, and you don't want something to get in the way, maybe you can start taking that off the table.
You can never predict, and despite the loss, you can certainly never ban out the Unicorns. Now for a closer look at Gambit's win.